As humans will never stop building is a statement that most engineers live by. But is this still true in today's changing world? From the world's emptiest airport, eventually used to store rice, to an abandoned capital city, science projects that are always 30 years away consume billions annually. In today's video, we explore some of the biggest projects that have ever been a total waste, despite years of intense capital and labor costs. Number 5. Matala Rajapaksa International Airport, Sri Lanka. It's a well-known fact that airports are not very profitable, but the world's emptiest, Matala Rajapaksa International Airport, is terrible to even imagine. After the 2009 war ended, the new Sri Lankan president thought that a mega airport named after himself was what the country desperately needed despite severe warnings from economists. The wise move would be to expand the international airport in Colombo, but this was thrown out of the window and the government went through with its plan. Construction began in 2009 and was completed in just under 3 years. The total cost of the project was $210 million, 190 of which was loaned by China. Its geographic location was unsuitable, with a small population of 20,000 people, most of whom live below the poverty line. While the airport is grand and modern in every way, the demand is almost non-existent. Such reckless projects almost turned the country into a failed state, with China taking over one of its ports. Well, the airport found use as a rice warehouse to mitigate the losses. Yeah, right, that will work. Number 4. Arena da Amazônia, Brazil. It starts with the infamous Rainforest Stadium in Brazil. We've previously covered the troubled fate of stadiums after the World Cup, and Brazil has probably suffered the worst. Football is as controversial as it is popular, with stupendous amounts used up in stadiums. The Arena da Amazônia Stadium in Manaus was made to impress, taking 4 years to build and cost approximately $250 million. Its location in the Amazon rainforest, the largest in the world, made it even more difficult for the transportation of goods and required materials. The construction process was tedious, and after it was finished, the stadium only hosted 4 games in the World Cup. The stadium remains unused today as many locals cannot afford the cost of a ticket. The surrounding community could have definitely made better use of the resources wasted on this project. Number 3. Interstate H3 Highway, Hawaii. At number 3 is the Interstate H3 Highway in Hawaii. This breathtaking project is a marvel of engineering as it passes through the picturesque mountains in the area. It was proposed in 1986 to connect Pearl Harbor to the Marine Corps Air Station on the East Coast. Environmental lobbyists bombarded the project right from its beginning, delaying the project by over 20 years. It was only completed after Congress relaxed the legislation, 37 years after it was introduced. Decades of delay saw the cost go through the roof, reaching up to 5 times the initial estimate. A stunning $1.3 billion was used on this highway, which translates to $50 million per kilometer, making it the most expensive ever in the world. It has long outgrown its intended purpose by the defense contractors. Rumor also has it that the highway is cursed because of the many religious sites that were destroyed in the process. The native Hawaiian community rarely uses it because of this belief. Although it's a major achievement in construction, it remains useless for the most part, but not as useless as the next project. Number 2. The Superconducting Collider, USA. This is perhaps America's largest failed science project. Also known as the Deseratron, this is one of the most enterprising physics projects that was originally designed to be the world's largest particle accelerator. And frankly speaking, this has had more success in Hollywood and sci-fi films than in the real world. Unlike in the movies, a particle accelerator cannot give superpowers and turn ordinary nerds into heroes. It actually helps accelerate charged particles to speeds close to the speed of light. While the plans for the project looked promising, reality painted a very different picture. The project took off in 1983 after Congress approved a $4.4 billion request for funding. Supporting buildings covering 186,000 meters were built at a cost of over $2 billion. Just a few years later, the projected cost had risen astronomically to more than $12 billion. Yeah, you heard that right. Billions for something that never saw the light of day. According to reports, there was a massive misappropriation, with approximately $100,000 spent on things like Christmas parties, corporate lunches, and the installation of office plants. It's a pity for the physicists who believe that so much more could have come from this, such as discovering the Higgs boson years earlier. As a result, the entire project was cancelled in 1993. The site eventually sold off to a chemical handling company for a pittance of $4 million in 2012. Number 1. Forest City, Malaysia. What is crazier than a failed science project is a failed city. Just imagine that, a capital city that is built for millions of people but remains practically empty. This was the cruel fate of Forest City in Malaysia, which was intended to become a green, futuristic city. It is one of the most controversial developments in Malaysian history, initially billed as a living paradise. $100 billion was thrown into making the Johor Bahru area, north of Singapore, into a luxury estate fit for kings. The developers, which included China's largest developer, Country Garden, quickly realized that people were not buying into this idea. Around 700,000 residents were expected to live in the estate, but as of 2019, only 500 people inhabit this luxury paradise. This is less than 5% of the initial target, and this 1,740-hectare estate remains a ghost town. It sure looks like a futuristic movie set once you land in this city, just without the people. Empty skyscrapers and roads welcome new visitors, and just like that, enough riches to make you a centi-billionaire went down the drain in this one heck of a project. Do you think there are more insane projects out there? Be on the lookout for the next one.